Welcome here today, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of a predictions video on the channel here today. I'm Keegan Schneider. Before we get into this one, hit that subscribe button down below for more daily NASCAR content. We do these on the weekly. Of course, we're coming to the end of the season, but we'll do these again next year when the time comes. I give you guys fantasy advice, my personal fantasy advice, information I've gone through on Racing Reference throughout the course of the week leading up to, say, today's race at Texas. I'm going to give you guys some drivers who you might want to stay away from in today's race. I'm not too definite with the stay away picks today because they are good drivers and they're both playoff drivers, but I'm personally going to stay away from them in my lineup, and I'll tell you why. We have a few dark horse picks in here as well, and of course a must-have at the end of the day that I think you guys should have in your lineup no matter the cause. All right, so first and foremost, we'll start off with those stay away picks like we usually do. I have two of them, and I'm not too confident with them being stay away picks, but here is why. Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski. For Brad Keselowski, he only has one top 10 in the last 5 races at Texas Motor Speedway. Obviously, the one that did come into play was last year in the fall race. So, again, Keselowski has had speed on the mile-and-a-half racetracks, so I'm not too picky about him as a stay away pick. Penske has had a good program, but I do think that Keselowski has been the best Penske driver this year. Of course, he didn't have the greatest run at Kansas. He's barely above the cutoff line on the other driver half of the stay away pick, Chase Elliott. And I'm not confident. I'm going to stay away from him. I'd advise if you can stay away from him, but don't be surprised if he has a decent day today. And the same goes for Chase Elliott. All the things I just said about Brad Keselowski, as far as there are better picks out there, I would stay away from him if you can, but I do think he has the capability of having a good run. The thing for Chase Elliott, though, he has 0 top 10s in the last 3 races at Texas. That is a big factor because, of course, we're using the 550 high downforce rules package. He has not finished in the top 10. His best finish, he's got 2 12th place finishes and a 13th place finish with this package at this racetrack. So Chase Elliott, again, a little bit iffy on there. So is Brad Keselowski, but that is why. For my dark horses, I've got 3 of them. I've got Erik Jones, Kurt Busch, and Ryan Blaney. For Erik Jones, he's actually got 6 straight top 10 finishes at this racetrack. He's been slumping since he missed the playoffs this season. He hasn't been good in the playoffs. I'm sure JGR has been putting a lot more of their equipment in with the other 3 guys. It really looks like that over the course of the season, but more so in the playoffs because they all made it. And of course, for Kyle Busch's sake now, maybe not so much for him, but for Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., they're putting all their bread into one basket as far as that goes. So it's a little leery on that, but he is a dark horse pick because of his track success here. In that stretch as well with the 6 straight top 10 finishes, he's got 3 of those finishes. He finished inside the top 5, and that includes back in 2017 in the fall race here, in the 2017, I had it right. The 2017 fall race here at Texas, he was driving the 77 car for Furniture Row Racing. So not the 78 car, but the 77 that didn't have the full backing like the 78 car did. So again, he knows how to get around this racetrack. We'll see how he can manipulate the package here today. For Kurt Busch, he's got 7 straight top 10s at Texas Motor Speedway. He's been Mr. Consistent when it comes to this racetrack, and really the course of the season, Kurt Busch has been a top 10 driver throughout the course of the year. It was a surprise that he got to victory lane at Vegas, at a track that he struggled at for the most part in his career. It was a good story, so that's why people considered him an underdog, because he hasn't really contended for many wins this season up until he won that race sporadically at Vegas a few weeks ago to get into this round. He was running good again last week at Kansas on a mile and a half. We're at a mile and a half again today. I think he could be in the top 10 throughout the course of the day. I think he'll get some stage points. He's going to be competing for the win more often than anything else because I think he's in a must-win situation after blowing that engine at Kansas last week. But I do think he will keep that top 10 streak alive. He's a dark horse pick. He will likely be in my lineup here today as well. And for Ryan Blaney, I think with him, he's the most confident dark horse pick. I know he's my favorite driver, but again, there is no favoritism when it comes to me putting Blaney in my lineup or not putting him in the lineup because I have trashed on him at tracks he's bad at just as much as I talk about how good he is at tracks. And I feel like with me being a fan, I'm able to depict one way or the other a little bit better because I pay attention to him more often than any other driver on a week-to-week basis. But for Blaney, he's got 5 top 10s in the last 6 races at Texas Motor Speedway. This is one of his best racetracks. Remember, he led 150 laps earlier this season at Texas, and if it wasn't for Quinn Houck pinning from the third lane, Ryan Blaney might have very well gone on to win that race. Now, I know Hamlin came out of the pits ahead of him, but he also took no tires versus Blaney took either 2 or 4, and Blaney was reeling him in, so there was a good chance he was going to get around him in the last 30 laps anyway, despite the clean air, whatever you might say. When you're back in traffic, it's a little bit easier to pass cars because everybody's in dirty air. It's just the air situation comes into play more so when the race leader is out in front and there's no lap traffic involved because there is nothing but clean air for that driver. Everybody else is dirty air. So that's why you see the racing back in the pack a lot more aggressive with these guys. But I think he could have gotten around him that day. In that stretch with those 5 top 10s in the last 6 races here, he's got 2 top 5s, including a runner-up in the fall race in 2018 when he finished runner-up to Kevin Harvick. And don't forget, Harvick failed post-race inspection that day, but that was before the rules where they took the win away. He got to keep the win. He just lost the points for it. So otherwise, maybe Blaney would have won that day. But anyway, regardless of the fact, Ryan Blaney's the dark horse pick. He will likely be in my lineup today as well. Plus, for Blaney, yes, he's good at Phoenix and Martinsville, but because he's not in the playoffs, I just feel like Martinsville and Phoenix are going to play more into the playoff drivers' perspectives, and this is the last time I can use Blaney this season realistically, so I'm going to make sure I use him today, because again, this is one of his better racetracks statistically, both with the package that we have currently and even before it, so he's continued that success, and he led 150 laps earlier this season in this race. He also won a stage in that race as well. And my must-have is Kevin Harvick. It's pretty obvious. Kevin Harvick's won the last 3 fall Texas races, but a stat that most people don't talk about, they talk about that, he's got 12 straight top 10s at Texas Motor Speedway. Not just the fall race, in general at Texas Motor Speedway. No matter whether they run there in July like they did this year where he finished 5th with the same package, whether it's in the fall race where he seems to dominate more often than the spring race, and we're in the fall, so that obviously plays to his advantage. It doesn't matter what package we use, whether it's the 550 or the 750, it doesn't matter. Plus, the guy's got 9 wins this season, most of them on mile-and-a-half racetracks or tracks that use this package, so Kevin Harvick is definitely going to be the hot hand for today. He is likely going to be one of the contenders for the win all day long. He starts on the pole, so he's got the track position. Expect him to score a lot of stage points. Yeah, he's a must-have. If you have him, use him here today, and I will be using him here today. Again, this is one of his better racetracks, and really the rest of the season are some of his better racetracks between this week and then at Phoenix in the championship if he makes it there, which I think he will. If he has a strong day-to-day like I'm expecting him to have, he's going to have such a big points cushion going into Martinsville. He can almost wreck out at Martinsville and be okay. He might clinch on points today, depending on how the other playoff drivers do, because one driver will clinch on points, though we don't know who that might be. He might clinch on points today. So if we get a new winner, and then Kevin Harvick is at least 60 points ahead of 4th on the playoff grid after today, then he will clinch a playoff spot, and he is already 44 points above, I think, as of right now. It is very well possible he could clinch a spot, and we could be going in next week thinking, okay, whoever, the only other way to get in is by winning. So we'll see if that will be the case, of course, going forward. Enough of that. We'll see who I have in my fantasy team here. So this is who I have on my fantasy team for today's race at Texas Motor Speedway. So we're going to start off. We're going to get Denny Hamlin out of the lineup. Although I think he can definitely be one of the contenders for the win today, we can only use him one more time. And in case he makes it to the championship or even Martinsville being one of his better racetracks, we'll have to save him for one of those 2 races. So we're going to put Kevin Harvick in. He was our must-have. We're going to keep Ryan Blaney in with him being one of our dark horse picks. We'll take Bowman out. We'll put the other dark horse pick in there of Kurt Busch, who was already in the garage there. And then I was kind of, scoping around. Kyle Busch, obviously, is Kyle Busch. He has been pretty consistent for the most part with top 10s. Obviously, the reason why he didn't make it to the round of 8 was the lack of stage points. And obviously, Kurt Busch getting that win kind of overthrew him. So we'll put Kyle Busch in instead right there. We'll also put Joey Logano in the lineup. He had a great run earlier this year. And same goes for Kyle Busch. Those 2 finished 3rd and 4th. Logano has a good starting position. He's coming off a win at Kansas, so maybe he could play the pit strategy game pretty well once again today. We'll take Keselowski out of the lineup. He was one of the, don't-haves in today's lineup and for your guys' lineup, in my opinion. So we'll take him out of the race, and we'll put that other dark horse pick of Eric Jones in the lineup. He's starting back in 17th. So that'll be the 6 guys starting in the lineup today. Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Eric Jones, and Kurt Busch. So we're going to take Kevin Harvick to at least win stage 1. He's got the track position for the opening stage of the race by starting on the pole. And I think he'll have a fast car contend for the win today. We're just going to play it safe. I think Kevin Harvick's going to win today's race, to be quite honest. Make it 4 straight Texas fall race wins. And, of course, like I mentioned, he's got 12 straight top 10s at this racetrack, which is just absolutely insane. So he's going to be competitive all day. That is why we have him on the lineup. We can still use him another time after today, which will probably be at Phoenix, assuming he makes it to the championship 4, which I'd have to imagine, even if he doesn't win today, he's going to have a good points day, and he should make it out of Martinsville alive, as long as he gets through the end of the day. We've seen some of these Texas races in recent years have a lot of accidents from time to time as the race carries on. I think it just has to do with a desperate sense of urgency like you saw in the Texas race earlier this year, especially with it being 500 miles, people just getting impatient. So we'll take Kevin Harvick to win from the pole today. We'll take him to win all the stages, just so that way, in case he wins a stage or both stages, we could also get the bonus points for that. So I think Ford will go to victory lane as well. So I have Kevin Harvick winning this one. Comment down below who you guys have in your lineup or who you have winning in today's race. Predictions down below for you guys, and as well, most importantly, hit that subscribe button for more daily NASCAR content. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys for a post-race analysis after the race.